Good morning, everybody. So today I need to clean my settlement tank on the koi pond because I've neglected it for the last few months. It has a clog, so now it's not working. So now I've got to get down 6.5 feet to see where the clog is. I'm assuming it's in the inlet, and then clean that out. I got to clean out the settlement tank and kind of go from there. But first I got to trim back all this grass so I can pull back this lovely net and actually get access to it, and then get my little setup to get in there and clean it. So let's get that done first. All right, so got all the grass trimmed, all the rocks moved, so now as you can see the net's back. It looks so much better without it. I hate that thing. But so right where that water's bubbling up, where the air's bubbling up there, I need to that's directly below that, 6.5 feet down, is the drain for the settlement tank and the aerator. So I have to do my hillbilly bridge out of my extension ladder. I put across here, put some boards on it, and then I stand on it or lay down on it and reach down with some homemade garden tools there and see if I can scoop out whatever is blocking it. Before I do that though, I need to go down here in the settlement tank and get this cleaned out and drained out, so I can have it open, and then a big rush of water should come through when I have that sufficiently unclogged out there, or it might just pull it right through and then pop up in here. So I need to clean this thing out first before I do that. So let's get that part done here next. All right, so I got this open up. So in my little pump house there, I have a 3-way valve that pulls from the skimmer, goes to the skimmer and the settlement tank, and I can adjust the suction or the pull on either one of these. Actually, I can have it all there, all here, split up in between. Usually in the summer, I have it between like 50-50 between the two, so it pulls equally off of the bottom of the pond as it does on the top, and that is a good balance for getting all the debris and stuff that gathers at the bottom of the pond, and along with all the stuff that blows on the surface of the pond. So right now I have that one on 100% and this one off because the water has been drained out. So then I got to pull out this basket and the little filtration, and then I'll get my pond vacuum right there and pull out the rest of the water so I can see how much is coming through the inlet pipe when I open that guillotine valve or knife valve. So we should have a big rush of water come through there. If it's not clogged in there. I'm hoping it might have just been this not pulling it, and then once this is free and I open it up, it's going to suck through whatever's blocking that through the pipe into here, but we shall see. Alright, so I'm starting to suck out the excess water in the settlement tank here. Hopefully you can hear me over the vacuum. But so here is the settlement tank, and you can see all the sludge. And you want to be careful when you vacuum out, because sometimes I have found fish get in here sometimes and you don't want to suck them up in the vacuum. So I always keep an eye out, see if there's anything down in there swimming before I put the vacuum all the way down in there where I can't see it. So this thing's about 3 feet deep, and as you can see I have a little bit of a leak. My valves are shut off, but I have a little bit of a leak through that valve coming in here, so it never drains out completely. It always a little bit of water coming in. But as you can see, it's pretty nasty in there, and honestly it smells like a septic tank. But I mean, it is basically a fish septic tank, so it makes sense. But the purpose of this is to keep all that out of there. So the water quality in here probably isn't great, but it keeps all that nasty stuff from going in the pond there with the fish. And you can see there's going to be about 4 or 5 inches of sludge on the bottom that just smells wonderful. But I'm going to get all that cleaned out. And another thing I noticed here too is you can see all these little snails. Those are Japanese trapdoor snails, which we'll talk about later. Some say are mistakes, some love them. But so far I love them. I think they really help clean out the bottom of the pond and eat a lot of this nasty stuff. So let me get this goop out of here, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we got it all cleaned out. And down on the bottom I leave a little layer of rocks just for filtration and habitat for the snails and whatnot. So I may get lucky because it seemed like there's a pretty good flow. I may get lucky and not have to go mess with the drain in the bottom because I don't think it's clogged. I think it was just this was clogged. So over here is my knife valve. Always check for black widows. Alright, I'll reach down in here. And then the goal is, when I open that, is to have a big flow come out of that pipe. So let's see. So that was pretty good flow. So I think we're all right. I heard a bunch of stuff come through it, so I think if we do that a few times, open and close the valve, it'll suction off whatever's in the bottom in there that might have been causing the issue, and then pull it in here. I'll vacuum it out, and then we'll go from there. I'll do it a few more times, and then I'll get back to you. All right, so I did it about 5 times, opening and closing that knife valve there. Water coming through, it's pretty clear now. I can see through it to the bottom. No debris. I still hear rocks coming through, which is fine. If you have one of these systems, don't put rocks in the bottom of your pond. It has been a pain in the butt. Luckily I didn't do the whole pond, I just did them in the shallow end, but the fish tend to knock them over into the deep end, and it's caused issues with this before, so I would recommend not putting gravel or rocks on the bottom of your pond. But so this looks good now, and now I get to do my favorite part. Is I call doing the nasty here, which is cleaning off these filters, filter media that's in the settlement tank to filter out any debris or whatnot that comes up from it. And then once I have this clean, I'll kind of explain how the settlement tank works. But yeah, I got to clean all this off. This is usually the nastiest part because this is really hard to get some of that gunk out of the filter media. So I'll do that, and then we'll get back at it. As you can see inside of this thing, it's just sludge, just nasty. All right, so now I'll explain how the settlement tank works if you're not familiar with them. So right in the middle of the pond there is, down about 6.5 feet, there is a drain. It's a 5-inch drain. It has I believe a 8-inch or 10-inch rubber diaphragm on top that distributes the air, a little aerator there, and it's hooked up to a little air compressor in my shed there, my pump house there. So the point of that is to bring up the air, obviously to oxygenate the water, but it also helps to push things down, kind of get the flow going up and down, so the settlement tank pulls in all the debris and fish poop and stuff that's in kind of the middle layer of the pond, and pushes it down. So that has a 5-inch drain. It goes to a 4-inch pipe that comes up here and then kind of 45s up to this knife valve and then into the settlement tank here. So the point of that is basically it helps pull all the stuff off the bottom, which you want to generally pick the lowest point. I have mine kind of concaved on the bottom into the center, so everything kind of eventually works its way to the center point, which is where the drain's at, and then that'll allow it to suck up the most debris and volume that it can. So it's really important on these two to take into account that they have to be the level of this. You want to make sure you match to the highest point of your pond water, So if you do this too deep, obviously water's going to escape. If you do it too shallow, then you won't get enough water in there, not have enough pull. So you got to be real careful on lining up the levels to make sure that when the pond is at its full height, that it's an acceptable level in here and will help everything work properly. It's not too bad. I did mine with an old school transom from like the 1800s. I didn't have a laser level, would be much easier, but you just want to make sure that you do take that into consideration. You want to have it fairly close to the pond too. If it's too far out, especially with a 4-inch pipe, that's a lot of water to pull. The farther out you go, the less pull it's going to have on it, and it's not going to function properly. So I tried to tuck it in. Looking back, I wish I would have moved this over there because it's kind of right in the front of the pond now. So, but live and learn. But so yeah, you want to kind of keep it fairly close to the pond and your pump. So again, the pull is fairly strong. So, and then we have a 4-inch pipe coming in, and then a 2-inch pipe that goes down to the bottom of this, runs along here over to the pump house. Then I have a 3-way valve in there for the skimmer and this one that I can control how much pull I have on each one. So usually in the summer it's 50-50. In the winter it'll be probably 100% on the surface, because I don't want to pull water out of the bottom of the pond, because that's where the fish are hibernating. So I don't want to take that temperate water that's down there and then have it circulate through the pond to the top, because it'll be frozen solid, except for the air pocket or the air bubbles there, to make the gas escape. But yeah, so I don't want to pull off their temperate water down there and mix it with the surface water and have it too cold, and then that'll end up killing the fish or causing a lot of issues with them. So down at the bottom, it's year-round. It's probably around 45 to 50 degrees, where I have a temperature gauge floating in there. So the surface will freeze solid except for where the pond water is, or the waterfall and the air. But the rest of it will freeze. So it does get very cold. And then down at the bottom, it usually reads around 45 to 50, which is just fine for them. And they'll stay down there all winter. So I don't have to bring them in. That's why I made it so deep, because we do have very cold winters here. So I didn't want to have to try to take them in and out of, you know, have them in a tank somewhere in the garage or a shed. Or I didn't want to mess with all that, because I've got too many fish to move. But yeah, settlement tanks, if you're doing a koi pond, I would definitely recommend doing it, because it does make a huge difference. I mean, you can see all that debris that it collects, which otherwise all that would be in the bottom of the pond, and you'd have to drain the water out and clean it out that way, or get one of these pond vacuums and with the extender tubes and try to vacuum out the bottom, which I did that initially in the first couple of years because I was having a lot of algae problems, and that was a pain in the butt. So I would definitely recommend one of these. But they're always very curious about what I'm doing here. But yeah, we'll start starting to get a little bit colder here, so I'll start trimming back some of the overgrowth, because it kind of grew crazy this year. But yeah, and my fish it's way overstocked for the size of a pond, so don't do it like I did it. It's just gonna happen. But like I said, I'm gonna eventually do another pond, a much bigger one, but not here, because I don't have the space, because I'm pretty well tapped out on space here in the backyard. But when I get property, I'm gonna do pretty cool setup. I'm gonna have a fun time filming that, because it's gonna be much more intricate now that I've done a few professionally and have a lot more experience than when I did this one. I was very green when I did this, so I made a lot of mistakes. But it's took it a few years, but it runs perfect now. It's, other than occasional, like with this, very little maintenance, very low maintenance on it once it's established. People always think it's a ton of work. It's not, if you enjoy it. Especially, it's not work. I love coming out here to mess with it. I will probably do another filter here to help kind of combat. That'll help some of the cleaning issues too. The settlement tank won't get nearly as dirty, and a few other issues I'm starting to have. But I'm probably, the only thing I have room for is probably going to be like a Baki shower. I think would be kind of cool. I could tuck that in maybe over here on that wall I have where that other bog filter is. But we'll see. All right, I'm going to put it all back together and and we'll see you on the next one. Any questions, leave them in the comments. All right.